In the heart of Detroit, America's poorest big city, Anthony Hattinger is planting seeds in a reclaimed liquor store, a squat building repainted in Disney colours, supersized white fish swimming through happy green reeds in deep blue water. Wearing a tie-dyed t-shirt and a grey knit cap, bathed in the glow of greenhouse lights, he holds a pen cap, manoeuvring its pointy end to scoop 3 tiny basil seeds from his palm. He drops them onto moist, cakey plugs of soil. Brownie bites, he calls them, as he works to give them the potential to sprout. The sweet Italian basil will grow alongside a variety of lettuces. Downstairs, where liquor was once stored, thousands of baby tilapia swim in vats. Their waste, pumped upstairs, feeds the greens, which absorbs the nutrients. The water, thus filtered, flows back down to float the fish. The cycle continues. Once, Corey's Market was a fixture in this north-central neighbourhood, 5 miles from downtown and not yet on the go-to map in a long-derided city that improbably finds itself cool. Tough, real, and cheap Detroit, with the nation's largest municipal bankruptcy behind it, is suddenly attractive to investors, innovators, and would-be fixers, especially young adventurers. Hattinger, who's 25 and has a black mother and a white father, is a quiet part of that change. A newcomer from central Michigan with a degree in religious studies and a minor in horticulture, he is thrilled to be working for a Christian community development agency, helping to change Detroit from the ground up. The Fish and Greens feed customers at busy new eateries as well as low-income, long-time residents at local markets. On the day Hattinger was in Detroit to interview for what sounded like a dream job, a gunman took a family hostage in the neighbourhood. "We have a shooter on the roof," he heard on his cabbie's radio. He wasn't deterred. Every day he walks or cycles past decay and rebirth, homes collapsing, homes being rebuilt, and empty lots where homes have been carted away. "Detroit has taught me a lot about the spirit, about perseverance," he says. "It's incredible to hear some of the stories of people who've continued to try to make it work. The heart is so present here. This is the place to be. There's tremendous need and tremendous opportunity in land, in structures, and in spirits. A lot of opportunity to transform. Let me introduce you to a few Detroiters I encountered when I returned to the city where I was born and worked for 25 years. After we moved away, for several years we kept a small condo there, overlooking the Detroit River. In the same way you never forget your mother, your heart never leaves your hometown." I did not seek out Mike Duggan, the energetic new mayor, and the first white one in 4 decades in a largely black city, or the leaders of businesses and foundations that donated hundreds of millions to help free Detroit from bankruptcy. Or multi-billionaire Dan Gilbert, Detroit sugar daddy, who founded Quicken Loans, the nation's largest online mortgage lender. Gilbert moved Quicken to his hometown, bought more than 70 properties, mostly downtown and ripe for rehab, seeded dozens of startups, and employs an estimated 12,500 people. My curiosity was not about the mighty directors of this unfolding drama, but the small players who are creating a new city out of what was long dismissed as a wasteland. Some moved in with solid plans, some nurse airy dreams, some subsist on fortitude. Others pray that their candles, so far from the changes, might somehow catch a spark. Detroit's decay is now its engine. Nowhere else in urban America can you do so much with so little money. The new Detroit shines downtown. Nearby areas like Corktown and Midtown radiate energy, but around this incandescent skulks the old Detroit, acres of decay and ruin, prairies where the remaining houses stand aloof from each other. The plants that made the vehicles that built this town shed chunks of graffitied concrete, glass is gone from a million windows, like eyes absent from faces. I ricocheted from high hopes to despair, but the Detroiters I met, almost to a one, have faith in even an uncertain future. Indeed, it's what defines them. Those who couldn't summon hope left long ago, if they could. It's possible to drive to downtown Detroit without confronting the still crippled Detroit. The city's freeways are sunken, hiding its plight, the departure of more than half its peak population. Robert Hake did just that for months after he moved his growing custom sportswear company From the suburbs to the city's Corktown neighbourhood. Called mylocker.net, it can ship 100 hoodies for your family reunion in days. My decision had nothing to do with reviving Detroit, he tells me from behind his shiny 10-foot desk which reflects the skyline. Instead, he'd snagged a good deal. An empty auto parts factory the size of 2 football fields. But, he says, now that I'm part of it, I'm being drawn in. Hake, 41, overcame what he admits were deep doubts. Detroit was called Murder City, USA, in the 1970s, for a reason. He recalls the trepidation he felt as a suburban kid riding into the city when his parents warned, "Roll up your windows and lock your doors." Excited by the city's new effervescence, he searched Google for graffiti artists, interviewed several, hired one, and gave him a key and instructions. Do whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want. The walls are adorned with icons of Detroit, from Faygo Soda Pop to boxer Joe Louis' fist. He's hiring locally, adding 70 Detroiters to almost double his full-time staff. One morning, Hake, who still lives in the suburbs, drove outside his comfort zone onto streets that stretch like worn threads between the freeways. He hauled 400 colourful T-shirts designed by his staff to donate to an elementary school. On the 10-mile drive, he passed street after street of broken-down houses. At the school, though, I found hallways full of happy, innocent, beautiful children, he says. It was heartbreaking to know that those children lived on those streets. He thought, how blind have I been? I should give a T-shirt to every kid in Detroit. Robert Hake is emblematic of what's happening in this once forlorn city. It is reinventing itself, building by building, and idea by idea, but, as important, person by person. More tangibly, freed from about $18 billion in debt, the city has money to do some of what needs to be done. It has replaced about 40,000 streetlights ruined by scrappers and time. Police response time has shrunk from almost an hour to less than 20 minutes, and roughly 100 ramshackle homes are crushed each week.